I received a birthday invitation a while back. It said, "You're invited to John's birthday party." I loved it. Address included. Note down the address. There are a few other instructions included as well. One is, you'll need to be buzzed in, so when you arrive, just punch the number in with your nose. And once you get in and you're buzzed in, take the elevator, punch the button with your nose, and come on up to the 3rd floor. And when you get there, ring the doorbell with your nose. Okay. Note said, "I can't wait to see you." Bottom it said, "P.S. You'll be pushing with your nose because your hands will be too busy carrying presents." Now, I love this. Great spirit of expectation. I love this. Sending an invitation that says, "I already know you're bringing a bounty of gifts. I know that you're coming with all kinds of goodness and all kinds of blessings." You see, it's an invitation full of the air of expectation. Today's Christmas carol that we've been singing is "O Come, Emmanuel," a wonderful invitation full of great expectation. During the season of Advent, we're going to feature a different Christmas carol every Sunday, inviting you to get in this holiday spirit well in advance. So often we don't sing carols until we wait until Christmas Day, and some of you, well, the next day you've taken your tree down and you're ready to wrap up and already thinking about your Easter outfit. So it's still great that we kind of engage in this whole season in spirit over this season of Advent, and that we think about the theological background of each one of these carols, carrying a powerful message for our spiritual journey. What a beautiful invitation. Come, come, come. You see, this carol is inviting something special into our lives, inviting something wonderful to take place. I love it when people are inviting me to all kinds of things, say, "Come on over." In fact, I had a woman in my church said for years, "Pastor, if you haven't got anything on, come on over." Think about it for a moment. You'll get it. I often thought, wait a minute, what? I love the invitation, but I think what she's saying is if you haven't got anything going on, come on over. I love an invitation that it says, "Come to something special." And so it is, this carol is inviting us to this awareness. Come on. Come to something special. Come to a new thought. Come to a way of understanding. It's an invitation for a greater understanding of something very powerful for our lives, and that is Emmanuel. A lot of times we don't quite understand Emmanuel. What is this name? Every one of the ancient terms and words within Scripture are full of so much symbolism. You know, they just didn't choose names like today. In today's couples and families are choosing names and they're struggling with something cool and different like apple and peach and sunrise. Yet, in ancient times, people chose a name that had a powerful meaning, a message to be conveyed. Emmanuel means God with us. God with us, God within us. So the invitation is for us to keep this very thought in the forefront of our thinking. The forefront, that means the leading and most important thoughts of our everyday experience. The thoughts that shape our attitude and our outlook. You know, we get to choose our thoughts. That's right. There's a lot of thoughts you're thinking right now. Thoughts are fleeting through your head. 60,000 some thoughts will come to you today. It's amazing when you think of the number of things that flee through your thinking process. But how important it is to know that you can choose those that you will entertain. And you can release other thoughts. You can release those crazy thoughts of fear and loneliness, insecurity and negativity. You can welcome those thoughts that are there of abundance and power and presence, acceptance and love. The beautiful thing is you get to choose. Every single moment, every single day, you get to choose that which will be in the forefront of your thinking. Philippians chapter 4, 7 through 9. Scripture has invited us to understand this very principle. It's not something new at all. It's very ancient. For those who wrote the Scriptures were inviting you to think on what you would have in the forefront of your thought to always be Emmanuel. God is with you. God is within you. Philippians 4, 7 through 9 says, "And the peace of God, which surpasses all understanding, will guard your hearts and your minds." The peace of God will guard your heart, your feelings, your emotions, your attitudes, your mind, your thinking, your thoughts. Finally, brothers and sisters, whatever is true, whatever is honorable, whatever is right, whatever is pure, whatever is lovely, whatever is admirable, if anything is excellent or praiseworthy, well, here you go. It says, think on these things. Embody this kind of thought process every single day. Wake up with a disciplined mind, a trained mind that says, I will engage in those things that are always going to be uplifting into my life. Let me engage in those thoughts, even to the point of turn the TV off. Turn it off if it's bringing too much negativity to you. Shut the news off if it's stirring your heart and making you feel bad. Walk away from those things that disturb the spirit within you. Leave conversations. Step out of them. Shut off Facebook if it need be. Step away from those kind of internet conversations. If it's not uplifting and building you up, if it's not taking you to a higher place, Scripture says don't engage, but think on these things. Those things that are lovely. Put them into practice, it says next. It means practice, practice, practice. Practice controlling your thought life. Practice choosing what will be in the forefront of your thoughts. Practice every day with a day-to-day experience. For practice will make perfect, that your whole consciousness now is then framed with that which is lovely, that which is pure, that which is good, that which is positive. It will fill your very thinking and shape and mold your attitudes for everyday living. Now, that hymn says, O come, Emmanuel. And the invitation is to choose these thoughts now of God with us to every day control our thinking or to dominate our thoughts. That God with us principle is what's echoed over and over. Rejoice, rejoice. Be happy in this wonderful knowing, wonderful truth that God is with you in such a power and such a presence. Do it until every single thought of your consciousness is filled with this very premise. Wow, God's with me. God's with me when I'm in traffic. God's with me when I'm in this chaotic shopping of the holiday season. God is with you on Black Friday. That's right. God is with you 365 days. God is with you to the power and presence of knowing that God is within you. So close that it is the very breath that you breathe is the evidence of the life of God within you. So beautifully connected, so woven within you. And this is the meaning of this Emmanuel. There shall be a child born of a virgin, and we shall call his name God with us. Why? Because everything about the name Emmanuel had a powerful meaning for them in the journey of their life when they realized, wow, every time we say Emmanuel, we're saying God is present, God is within, God is here, so close within me. 1 Corinthians chapter 3:16 says, do you know that you are the temple of the Lord? I love this passage. You are the temple. Look around. We've got wonderful temples right here. We may think about sanctuaries and buildings and churches and think those are the temples of the Lord. But you are the dwelling place of God. You're the dwelling place of the Spirit. It says, you're the temple of the Lord, the Spirit of God, which is the infinite wisdom of God, the everlasting love of God, the unlimited power of God. And it dwells, lives, exists within you. Sometimes we are forgetting this, the idea that it's dwelling within our heart, dwelling within our mind. We forget this and we move away and we're distracted by the world around us. The other day I went out to eat and Robert and I were seated at a table at the restaurant. The waitress came by, greeted us, walked away. We're waiting, looking at the menu. We read the menu. We read the menu again. We set it down and then we picked it back up and read the menu again while we were waiting and watching other people being served and the waitress being very, very busy going from table to table. After about 20 minutes, she came back and said, oh, I'm so sorry. I got caught up on other things and I forgot that you were there. Well, we didn't go away. We didn't leave. We sat there, pleasant, waiting, but she had forgotten. It simply illustrates us that God is always with us. God never leaves us. We may get distracted in the day-to-day journey of our life. Doesn't mean that God departed from us. Doesn't mean that God got up and walked away. It simply says that we forgot that the presence of God is dwelling within our lives. We have these moments when we feel all alone. We get frightened. We're scared. We're wondering, can we do this? We question our own individual abilities. We feel insecure. We walk into rooms and wonder, will people accept us? All this flurry of emotions that comes from us when we feel like it's just us. And then there's a wonderful awakening. Oh come, Emmanuel. Come to this thought. Come to this awareness. Come to this consciousness that God is with you. You're not alone. You're never alone. That presence is with you at all times. It is this wonderful power that is there, and it dwells with you. This should be our daily thought that would guide us, take us through our day-to-day journey. I love that passage from the Lord's Prayer. We sang today, give us this day our daily bread. I had a woman in my congregation say, I can't pray this any longer. I'm saying no to bread. I'm on a low-carb diet. I can't sing, give us this day our daily bread. And I said, oh, wait a minute. Let's understand what that saying is, what that beautiful passage in Scripture is that we sing and we share, we read in the Lord's Prayer. Give us this day our daily sustenance. Sustenance, not so much physical, for yet we want to always dwell in the physical. Oh, we're thinking, oh, bread, loaves of bread. It means give us the day our daily food, right? Plenty of food. And boy, oh boy, some of you were praying that prayer this Thanksgiving. I saw your photos. Turkey, mashed potatoes, macaroni and cheese, collard greens. I saw the list. I saw the beautiful menus that you all engaged in. Someone must have been praying, give us this day our daily Thanksgiving meal. Bounty of blessings. It's not a physical aspect. It's calling us to say, give us this day, today, that which sustains us. And bread was symbolic of that which was sustain people. Most every diet in the world has some sort of bread. It may be pita bread. It could be baked wheat bread. It might be a tortilla. It could be all these different forms of bread that are there, that are seen within the diets of the world, but it's symbolic of sustenance. What sustains us the most in our life is our thoughts. That's what sustains us. Our thinking shapes our moods, our ideas. So this prayer is, give us this day our daily thoughts of goodness. Dwell on these things. Dwell on the bounty and the blessings of the love of God. Dwell on the fact that I'm not alone. I need never be afraid. Oh, give me that every day. For as we do, we find the strength that sustains us. God is with us. That's our daily bread. What a delicious slice of sustenance that is. What a wonderful piece of fresh bread for our daily feeding and nurturing and strengthening. You see, it's that sustenance to say, God is present right here within me, and I know, for I am the temple of the Lord. This thought is not something that we just do once in a while. Maybe at Christmas we think about Emmanuel, God with us. No, it's a 365 thought process for us. It's not something we do just occasional, like a holiday or celebrating a birthday, but it's a lifelong process for the journey of our life. We have to make an effort, or we fall into these patterns of thinking, I'm all alone and it's just me. And I need something outside me to help me along the way. Often at the end of the day, when we do a little inventory, and I hope you do, you may realize that you haven't given much thought to God within. And you haven't really thought a lot about the Spirit and presence of God being with you to help you. You haven't really said, oh, come to me, oh God, in presence. Let me have a greater awareness of this. Let it be that which comes to my mind and my thinking. But it's a time for us then to really awaken it again and again in a freshness. If you end your day and your inventory is, I haven't thought much about that, think now. Think then. But let it be this invitation that God is so present with us that we understand that God is present within us. And that's the power and that's the understanding of this wonderful Emmanuel. When we are understanding this, we're saying that God is with us, not just God with Jesus. A lot of times people think, well, wait a minute. God was just with Jesus and not with us. But the name Emmanuel said, this is what will be revealed. This is what will be shown. That God is with you and you and you and you and me. God is with us, with all of us. Not just a select group, and yet in today's world and society, quite often people want to say, wait a minute, God's more with me than with you. That I know God more and you must know God less. That somehow God is more with and you're more without. Yet we know truly that in this passage and this very concept of Emmanuel, there's no partiality. There is no favoritism. There is no selected few here. We understand that it is available for us at any time for us to tap into. But we must acknowledge this in our thoughts. So if you're feeling alone, if you feel as if the weight of the world is on your shoulders and the challenges you face are yours alone, this is your opportunity to look deep within and to sing this song, not just at Christmas, but every day. Come, Emmanuel, come, let me understand this. Awaken this to my very thought process. For if we understood this moment, there would be a very transformational experience within our life. Number one, you'd never experience a feeling of being abandoned. You can't be. You can't be abandoned. God is always with you, never leaving, forsaking you. But yet, don't we hear some spiritual teachings, some religions that would say, you know what? God could leave you. You could be abandoned. You could be left behind. You might be, excluded from the very community of God for all eternity. You might be sent somewhere else other than the divine presence. Yet Scripture over and over, he says, I will never leave you. Wait a minute. Never? Never, ever? Ever. Right. That's true. And if we were to claim this promise, why would we believe in some sort of thought that God is out there trying to eternally punish a few and abandon a few? For Jesus illustrated to us the very story of the prodigal son, of the spirit and character of God with us, of God within us. Whereas the prodigal thought he would run away, ignore the father and the home life and all the blessings he had there, thinking there had to be something better. The father always waited, anticipated, watched. The father didn't say, well, you left, good riddance. Goodbye, I'm done with you. Prodigal son running away and thinking, you know what, I had too much of you. If you're just going to be that kind of attitude, I cut you off. Don't call, don't come home, don't even think about it. That's not the spirit at all of that which is God within us. For all day long, the story unfolds this principle that the father must have been waiting, watching, looking out the window, saying, I'm here for you. I've never left you. You may have gotten distracted. You may have wandered away. You may have thought you're all alone, but you're not. For I've always been here waiting. And when the prodigal son returns back home, the father's there with outstretched arms, eager to welcome. When we understand this, we understand then that there is no fear for us to live in, a fear of being abandoned or somehow God cutting us off or destroying or punishing us or trying to say that you're not welcomed in some case, but that the love of God is always with us, within us, and part of us. When we buy into this very thinking of abandonment or that God may be out there to punish, well, we often feel hopeless. We feel helpless in our lives. Today is the spirit of Advent, and the first candle is all about instilling hope within our lives. A hope and a promise that when we awaken to this truth that God is with us, we can become fearless. There is a hope. But when we think that God is far off, distant, and removed, somehow in our lives then we feel kind of helpless, all alone. That it's just up to me if it's going to be, instead of understanding the very strength and power of God within us. And so we cry out to everything else. Would you help me? Would you help me? Someone help me. I need a God to help me. I need something out there in space to help me. I need a distance to cry out to a God that seems to be asleep and awakening to say, would you help me? Oh, wait a minute. Jesus illustrated for us the whole principle of our spiritual life. He said to the lame man, you want to be healed? Pick up your bed and walk. He says, oh, let me get that for you. Oh, don't worry about it. I'll just take care of it. You just relax, you chill. I'll take care of everything. It was a call to personal responsibility in our own spiritual life. If we want something, it's there for us, but the responsibility is for us to awaken to that which is already there. To awaken to the gifts, the blessings, the bounty of good that's already within our lives. For we're created in the divine image of God, and when we wake up to this wonderful truth, it's right there. You need not cry out to something out in the distance to awaken and let it be that which is within, awakened in your life. Jesus, traveling with the disciples across the Sea of Galilee, is in a boat, and a storm comes up. And in the midst of the storm, the boat is tossed to and fro. The disciples are freaking out. Jesus is asleep. They wake Jesus up saying, don't you care? Don't you care about what's going on? Aren't you concerned at all? Can't you calm the storm? Interesting that Jesus turned to them and said, in essence, where's your faith? How come you didn't do it? Why do you need me? Why are you waking me up? Do you not understand? The divine is within you. Illustrated over and over again is this wonderful truth within our lives, yet we somehow have been taught that it's something outside of us that we turn to, something outside of us that will support within us. Yet the scripture says, I can do all things through Christ, which strengthens me. It is the Christ, the awakening, this wonderful power and presence within our life that strengthens you, enables you to do that which you believe and desire. This has got to be so within our hearts, in our consciousness, our thinking. Our heart is our center of our emotion, right? And our mind, the center of our intellect. And we're weaving together this wonderful sense of, I feel this. Oh, and I know this. And we're putting these wonderful things together that shape our very experience. How wonderful it is to feel the divine presence. And when we stop and pause and are still, oh, you can feel the warmth, the love, the presence of the God within. How wonderful it is to know it as we read the scriptures over and over again, the promises that reassure us, that constantly are there for us. So we couple together mind and we couple it with heart. We couple intellect and we couple feeling together. And it is there that we understand this wonderful principle. God is with us, never, never leaving nor forsaking us. So the invitation for us today is to sing this carol, not just at Advent, not just at Christmas, but to wake up every morning and saying, oh, come, this wonderful thought, come into my life, come into my consciousness, come into my daily thinking, come into the presence of my life, that every day I'm realizing God is with me. God is within me. The very power and presence is there. And what happens is then I can make every move of my life with God. Every move of my life. Every step of my pathway. Everywhere I go, I'm going in that divine presence. That strength, that guidance, that wisdom, that love, that power, that presence, it's all there for you. And you now move in God. You move in this wonderful understanding. You're not going alone, but finding this very strength surging up within you that is the divine, that is a source flowing, bubbling like a fountain within your life. Every move, every sense that every step that you take, it is moving in the power, it's moving in the presence, it's moving in the wisdom. I love this thought. Matthew 28:20. And remember, I am with you always, to the end of the age, to the end of anything that exists, to the end of infinity, and then beyond. The very passage of Scripture is saying this very principle. God is with us at all times, never leaving nor forsaking us. Oh, but remember this. And so we sing, oh come, come to my remembrance, that God is with me, never leaving nor forsaking. Amen.